What if the sudden, aggressive accusation that you are cheating on your partner is actually the ultimate psychological mirror revealing exactly what they are doing behind your back? When we study human relationship psychology with absolute honesty, we discover that one of the most confusing things a man can experience is being falsely accused of betrayal when he has done absolutely nothing wrong. You are working hard, staying faithful, and focusing on your home, yet your partner suddenly acts like a private detective, checking your phone, questioning your schedule, and accusing you of looking at other women. Behavioral observations suggest that this intense, upside-down behavior is often driven by a deeply rooted mental pattern. When a person is actively crossing relationship boundaries in secret, their mind experiences a massive amount of internal stress, guilt, and fear. To survive their own internal chaos, their subconscious brain uses a defense mechanism where they take their own hidden actions and throw them directly onto you. Exploring this dynamic is not about spreading anger, pointing fingers, or showing bias against any gender. It is about educating you with clear, realistic psychological facts so you can see through confusing arguments, protect your mental peace, and understand the true machinery behind why a person projects their own guilt onto an innocent partner. Today, we are going to dive deeply into the psychological reasons behind false accusations, how the human brain uses deflection to protect its own secrets, and how to spot the behavioral shifts that show a partner is using attacks to cover up their own betrayal. Most people see what happened. Few stop to understand why it happened. If you're here to think deeper, question assumptions, and see beyond the surface, you're in the right place. Subscribe and join the conversation, because better understanding leads to better decisions. To truly comprehend why an unfaithful partner will aggressively accuse you of the exact things they are doing, we must first analyze a psychological pattern called guilt transference through projection. In human behavior, projection means taking an uncomfortable feeling or an ugly truth about yourself that you do not want to face and falsely attributing it to someone else. When a person makes a conscious choice to break their relationship vows, their subconscious mind faces a huge problem. They want to believe they are still a good, honorable person, but their secret actions prove they are being deceitful. To resolve this intense internal friction, their brain creates a shield. By accusing you of cheating, they instantly shift the heavy burden of guilt off their own shoulders. In their mind, if you are the one who is supposedly doing wrong, then their own bad behavior does not look so terrible anymore. It is a subconscious way for them to balance their own internal scales by convincing themselves that everyone behaves deceitfully, so their own choices are somehow justified. This trend leads directly into a second critical pattern known as the preemptive defensive attack. In relationship dynamics, when a partner is living a double life, they live in constant terror of being caught. They know that any small mistake, like a late-night text message or an unexplained gap in their schedule, could expose their lies. To prevent you from looking too closely at their life, their subconscious brain uses an aggressive strategy. The best defense is a strong offense. Behavioral observations show that by attacking your character first, they completely control the direction of the relationship's energy. If they can keep you constantly busy defending your innocence, explaining where you were after work, and trying to prove that you love them, you will be completely distracted. You will be so exhausted from trying to clear your own name that you will have absolutely no time, energy, or mental space to look at their phone, ask about their new friends, or notice the very real red flags happening right in front of your face. Let us look at a highly detailed, realistic life story involving a couple named Bradley and Vanessa to see how this psychological pattern operates in the real world and leads to a negative relationship outcome. Bradley was a deeply committed and hardworking construction manager who loved his wife, Vanessa, with all his heart. He spent long hours at work sites to provide a beautiful life for her, and when he came home, he was always fully present and transparent. Vanessa, however, began feeling bored with her routine and started seeking intense outside validation. She began a secret relationship with a fitness trainer she met at her local gym, spending hours texting him under a fake name and meeting him during times when Bradley was busy at work. Because Vanessa knew she was destroying her marriage vows, her mind became filled with deep anxiety and fear. To cope with this internal panic, her behavior transformed completely. She suddenly started accusing Bradley of cheating. Every single time Bradley's phone buzzed with a work message, Vanessa would scream that he was hiding a secret woman. She demanded to see his call logs, accused him of dressing too nicely for work, and constantly told him that she knew he was secretly seeing someone else. Bradley was completely blindsided and deeply hurt by these intense attacks. Because he loved Vanessa and wanted her to feel secure, he did everything he could to prove his innocence. He stopped going out with his male friends, left his phone completely unlocked on the kitchen table, and spent hours comforting her and reassuring her of his absolute loyalty. He believed her accusations were just a sign that she loved him so much she was afraid to lose him. This was his biggest mistake. By focusing all his energy on defending his own character, Bradley became totally blind to reality. He never noticed that Vanessa was secretly changing her passwords, turning her phone face down, and continuing her affair with the trainer behind his back. Vanessa used her false accusations as a complete smokescreen. Eventually, the truth came to light when Bradley accidentally answered a hidden tablet in their home and saw a string of intimate messages that proved Vanessa had been unfaithful for nearly a year. When he confronted her, Vanessa did not apologize. Instead, she claimed that her accusations against him were caused by her own unhappiness. Bradley was completely devastated, losing his peace of mind, his self-respect, and his trust because he spent months defending himself against the very sins his partner was committing. The marriage ended in a bitter, painful breakdown, showing how a person's total lack of accountability can use false accusations to mask their own choices of betrayal. Have you ever experienced a relationship situation where you were forced to defend your total innocence, only to discover later that the person accusing you was the one hiding a secret life? I invite you to reflect on this incredibly heavy behavioral pattern and share your perspective in the comments section below. When we break down Vanessa's behavior from an objective psychological standpoint, we find a third major trend known as the reality distortion trap. When a partner uses false accusations over a long period, it does not just hide their secrets. It actively damages the innocent partner's mental clarity. In psychology, when an innocent person is constantly told they are doing something wrong, they can begin to experience a form of self-doubt. You might start asking yourself if you are accidentally doing things that make your partner feel insecure. You might start walking on eggshells, changing your natural behavior, and limiting your own freedom just to keep the peace in the house. Behavioral science shows that this distortion is exactly what an unfaithful partner subconsciously wants. As long as you are feeling confused, guilty, and insecure about your own behavior, your ability to think logically and spot their deception is completely turned off. You are trapped in an artificial reality built on their false accusations, while they continue to operate in the real world without facing any accountability. Another fascinating element of this dynamic is a trend we observe called the mirror projection effect. When a person has poor internal boundaries and low moral character, they naturally assume that everyone else operates the exact same way. An unfaithful partner knows how easy it is to tell a lie, hide a text message, and look a spouse in the eyes while deceiving them. Because they know they are capable of this behavior, their subconscious mind projects that exact capability onto you. They think to themselves, if I am capable of cheating and hiding it so well, then my partner must be doing the exact same thing to me. Their accusations are not actually based on anything you have done. They are entirely based on their own internal corrupt standard. They cannot comprehend a partner who is genuinely faithful, honest, and disciplined, because their own internal world is completely fractured by their secret choices. A high-value, grounded individual must recognize that when a partner expresses an extreme, irrational lack of trust without any evidence, they are often giving you an exact roadmap of their own internal character and hidden habits. When you cultivate the unshakable psychological strength to stop constantly explaining your innocence, you strip a deceptive partner of their most powerful weapon. You begin to understand that a grounded individual does not stay trapped in a manufactured argument. Instead, you look past the loud words and focus entirely on the silent patterns of their real-world actions. Now, we must examine the final 5 behavioral trends that explain the deep mental machinery behind false accusations and how you can use conscious psychological strategies to maintain your masculine confidence, protect your mental clarity, and ensure your life remains a solid fortress of reality. We will look at how the subconscious mind uses artificial outrage to escape close inspection, why a man must never allow his self-esteem to be worn down by baseless attacks, and how holding an unyielding standard of truth keeps your shared reality fully secure. The fourth major behavioral trend that drives this dynamic is a pattern known as the outrage manufacturing loop. In relationship psychology, we observe that when a cheating partner senses that you might be getting close to discovering the truth, they will intentionally blow up a tiny, irrelevant detail into a massive marital crisis. Behavioral data suggests that if you come home 10 minutes late from the grocery store or forget to reply to a simple text message, they will react with extreme, unearned anger, accusing you of keeping secrets or disrespecting the relationship. This manufactured outrage serves a very specific subconscious purpose. It creates an artificial wall of high emotion that forces you into a state of panic, leaving you so focused on calming down their volatile temper that you completely miss the reality that their extreme reaction is a calculated cover-up designed to push you away from their own trail. If you're still locked in, you're seeing what most people miss. This channel is for thinkers, not reactors. Subscribe if that resonates. Share your perspective below. Now, let's get into the part most people overlook. The fifth behavioral trend to analyze is a pattern called the false validation search. Psychological observations indicate that a partner who is actively committing betrayal often feels a deep, agonizing need to find a reason that makes their bad choices look acceptable. If they can successfully catch you in a mistake, or if they can argue long enough to make you look like an unfaithful or uncaring person, their subconscious mind achieves a twisted sense of relief. They can tell themselves that the relationship was already broken, or that you were probably cheating too, which allows them to completely wipe away their own guilt. When their baseless accusations fail to uncover any dirt on you, they will often become increasingly desperate and aggressive in their attacks, because your continued total innocence stands as a direct, painful insult to their own corrupt behavior. The sixth critical truth is a pattern known as the verification fatigue matrix. When an innocent man is subjected to non-stop accusations over many months, his emotional baseline begins to wear out completely. Behavioral trends show that a man will find himself showing his phone, explaining his bank statements, and tracking his own mileage just to stop the non-stop kitchen arguments. But this compliance sets a highly dangerous trap. By constantly participating in their forced verification games, you are subconsciously validating their right to treat you like a criminal without any evidence. The moment you agree to prove your innocence against a fantasy, you hand over your personal sovereignty and allow a toxic partner to dictate the psychological terms of your entire household. Let us look at a realistic story of positive growth involving a couple named Warren and Chloe to see how a man can successfully dismantle this specific manipulation by staying perfectly grounded, using cold logic, and enforcing absolute boundaries. Warren was a highly disciplined and analytical logistics manager who lived his life with total transparency and order. When he married Chloe, an event coordinator, he expected a peaceful and supportive home. However, after a year of marriage, Chloe began working late hours with a new male client and simultaneously started launching aggressive accusations at Warren. She would randomly grab his phone, accuse him of flirting with neighbors, and claim that his quiet nature meant he was keeping a secret life from her. Instead of getting defensive, crying, or changing his routine to please her, Warren used his high emotional intelligence to analyze her behavioral shifts. He noticed that while Chloe was busy accusing him, she was also keeping her own phone completely locked, taking private calls on the balcony, and becoming emotionally cold in the bedroom. Warren refused to play the defensive game. He sat Chloe down and spoke with a completely flat, calm voice. He told her that his character was unshakable, that he had given her zero reasons for doubt, and that he completely refused to live in a house where false accusations were used as a daily weapon. He stated with absolute firmness that unless she completely stopped her groundless attacks and voluntarily opened her own phone and schedule for full transparency, he would immediately file for a legal separation to protect his peace of mind. This cold, unyielding boundaries approach led to a highly positive outcome. Seeing that Warren could not be emotionally manipulated or confused by her smokescreen, Chloe's defensive wall completely shattered. She collapsed into tears, stopped her attacks, and confessed that her accusations were driven entirely by her own guilt over a secret emotional affair she had been having with her client. Because Warren held an absolute standard of reality and refused to defend himself against a mirror projection, he forced the true sickness into the open. They entered deep marriage counseling, where Chloe had to do the heavy work of rebuilding trust from scratch, proving that a disciplined man can save his reality when he refuses to entertain a partner's psychological games. Warren won because he placed logical boundaries above emotional comfort. Do you agree that a man must completely refuse to defend himself when a partner launches intense accusations without a single shred of real proof? I invite you to reflect on this powerful protective strategy and share your thoughts below. The seventh major trend is a pattern we call the preemptive exit strategy. In many hidden relationship dynamics, when an unfaithful partner realizes that their double life cannot be maintained much longer, they will use their false accusations to build a justification for leaving the relationship. They want to be able to tell their friends, their family, and the world that they left you because you were untrustworthy, controlling, or unfaithful. By aggressively accusing you first, they create a false paper trail of marital misery. They use this manufactured narrative to shield their ego from the public shame of being exposed as the sole destroyer of the home, proving that a person who lacks real internal accountability will happily sacrifice your reputation just to keep their own public image clean. The eighth and final psychological truth to master is the sovereign self-assessment. A powerful, grounded man must always maintain a completely independent understanding of his own character, values, and actions. You must never look at yourself through the distorted, insecure lens of a partner's wild accusations. If you know you are walking in complete alignment with your duties, staying faithful, and handling your business with honor, then any sudden irrational attack on your integrity should not cause you panic. It should instantly activate your logical radar. A mature mind recognizes that extreme projection is almost never about what you are doing wrong. It is a loud, accidental confession of what the other person is desperately trying to hide. By developing the unshakable clarity to recognize psychological projection the exact moment it appears, you become completely immune to domestic confusion and emotional exhaustion. You stop getting pulled into loud, circular arguments that are designed to keep you on the defensive and instead stand as a calm, observant judge of the real reality. By refusing to let a partner's hidden guilt dictate your mental peace, and by protecting your boundaries with total, cold discipline, you ensure that you remain the absolute master of your own destiny, allowing you to walk forward into the future with total confidence, mental power, and ultimate pride. If you're still here, you've already done something most people don't. You didn't settle for the headline. You stayed for the deeper layer. In a world that rewards quick reactions, taking the time to understand is becoming a rare skill. That's what this channel is about. Not taking sides, not chasing outrage, but looking beneath the surface to understand the patterns that shape people, relationships, and decisions. If you value conversations that make you think long after the video ends, subscribe and stay connected. And if something in today's discussion stood out to you, share it in the comments. Some of the best insights come from seeing how different people interpret the same idea. Keep questioning, keep learning, keep seeing beyond the obvious. I'll see you in the next one.